In terms of guys who are leaving, though, another O-lineman entering the transfer portal as Xavier Hill has announced that he is entering the portal. Not, another one that you kind of understand, not overly concerned. I think you have a good O-line class coming in. I think in terms of positions to add from the transfer portal, I would imagine that offensive line is probably one of the relative easiest, just because there's going to be a higher volume of number of guys there. And if you need depth, you can. Jake, what about this? I stumbled on this on Whiskey and Wine last night. So, or not Whiskey and Wine, excuse me. Scone and Tea. Shout out Oliver Twist. It was great to be back. But Jaden Daniels, it's up in the air about what he wants to do. Who knows if he's going to leave? Is he going to stay? Don't pay any attention to that video where he's not practicing, because I guess at the end of the video you can see him in a red non-contact jersey. So, whatever. He's still recovering from injury. And you can play the bowl game and still leave, right? So it is still up in the air if he's going to stay or he's going to leave. I still maintain that I think the best LSU product is him returning and having a quarterback battle, which he will likely win. But if he doesn't, great. That means somebody really took massive strides forward. And if he does, well, great. I think he has a great base to build upon. But, Jake, what about this? If Jaden Daniels leaves, you want to transfer quarterback, right? You want to add, a veteran voice to that room. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Throw something against the wall, see if it sticks. There's only one guy out there. You know who it is. JT Daniels.
Yeah.
Go get JT Daniels. I missed it. It's been under my nose the entire time. We've talked multiple times about JT Daniels' man cave.
What's your angle
and how
here?
epic it could be. My angle is, imagine this man having USC jersey, Georgia, WVU, and LSU all with his name on the back. The real angle is, and maybe it's not JT Daniels, but the real angle is that if you do lose Jaden Daniels, that I don't think it hurts. And then you would have Ricky Collins, you would have Garrett Nussmeier, Walker Howard. I don't think it hurts to bring somebody in that's seasoned to at least push them and compete with them. And if he wins the job, okay, whatever. If he doesn't, he's at least it's like the Michigan State thing when Mel Tucker had the really good year 2 years ago. He brought in the 4-year starter from Temple who had set all the records, and they assumed he was going to win the starting job.
Yeah,
he didn't, but he got you the best Peyton Thorne that year. So in that same way, if you do lose an experienced guys like Daniels for depth and other issues, I don't mind bringing somebody in to then compete a la a JT Daniels.
Ugh.
I mean, look, to be clear, the JT Daniels angle is as much of this is humor. The only salient point here is that I think you probably would want to bring in a veteran voice, but that would be pretty sick, dude, if it was JT.
Why is he holding the – grab a lace. Grab a lace.
Quick throw, bro. Quick throw. That's a wide receiver screen for sure. That's a little bubble screen. Gary Crone used to love a bubble screen.
I disagree with him coming here. He adds no value to the quarterback room.
Even if Jaden Daniels is gone?
Even if he's gone.
And you have Walker and Nuss and Ricky Collins, all young, unproven guys?
Yes. I'd rather add Keaton Slovis. I'd rather add Devin Leary.
Oh, yeah. But that's the point. You go after a veteran guy. Okay, forget about the JT Daniels thing. That's just a little memey. It's a little jokey. But you would pursue all of these guys.
I don't think you have to, T.
Okay.
I really don't. I think you've been grooming Nussmeier to be a starter, and if Jaden decides that he wants to go to the next level, I think you ride with Nussmeier. Because do you really want another offseason of splitting time and splitting reps and divvying everything up? Or do you want to say, hey, Nuss, no pun intended, this is your bus?
Well, wouldn't it be Nuss and Howard then in the competition splitting reps?
I
Maybe that's why you don't bring
Nuss, though.
Okay, maybe that's why you don't bring a third voice.
And if Walker went out there and beat him out and you couldn't deny it, you couldn't help it, then that's a different conversation. But also, he just went against the number one defense in the country and had some success.
Yeah.
Is it a fully polished final No, it's not. I mean, the interception, even the touchdown to Malik, it's like, oh boy. I don't know if you make that throw, but if you can, and part of that's just who he is. I understand that. And Brian Kelly wanted Jaden to be more of that. Not all the way that, but some of that. And I just think if you bring in another quarterback, then you're taking reps away from a guy that is in that competition.
Do you agree with the assertion that the best path for LSU is Jaden Daniels returning.
Oh yeah, I would be fully on board with him returning because like, you laid it out perfectly. Like if he comes back and Nussmeier takes this huge leap and then like somehow wins that job, that's an added bonus for you.
Yeah.
If Jaden comes back, continues to show you the things that he did in the middle portion of the season, and you can continue on that, that is massive for you as well.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I do love about the Jaden offseason here is he has such a clear element of the game to work on. Being more decisive, pushing the ball downfield, trusting receivers, trusting his reads. This is something I talked about as well last night, Jake. I think one of the reasons why well, actually, you know what? We're pushed up against the clock. I'm actually going to make a mature decision here. We're going to go to break. And then we get back. I'll explain maybe why I think there was a bit of a, maybe not a disconnect, sorry, why Nuss felt so different in the SEC championship and why that may be affecting these conversations. Coming up next here on OTB. Later on, we'll continue to talk sports right now. So before that, right before the break, I was talking about I think there was something very clear as to why many people are now calling for Nuss after the SC championship game or whatever, and it goes beyond the stats or whatever, Jake. I think when you look at the style that Garrett Nussmeier plays with, it is a style that is more in line with what we traditionally think of as great quarterback play. In that, in Jaden Daniels' style, a lot of times this year, he drops back, and he reads, and he progresses, and he reads, and then a lot of times he'll break out and he'll make a play. And he makes a lot of crazy plays. Maybe he's on the run, he throws it downfield, maybe he just ends up making a play with his legs. Nuss, not having the leg ability, knows that decisiveness and getting the ball out are his best path to success. So Nuss, the thing about him, why it felt so vastly different than Daniels, and I think different sometimes gets confused with better when maybe it's not objectively better when you look at the results, but Nuss hits that back foot and it's coming out every time, right? Yeah. And so that decisiveness feels better to the spectator, but I think it requires a little nuance and critical analysis to actually decide, okay, is it better in the end? Does it just feel better because the ball's coming out and appears more decisive? And is Daniels really indecisive, or is he setting himself up? And how much more of that do you need Jaden Daniels to do next year in terms of hitting the back foot and getting rid of the ball? Does he need to sacrifice, Jake, some of his running ability and some of his kind of holding onto the ball, letting the pocket develop, letting holes open up, and then taking advantage with his legs? Like, does he need to get rid of some of that and get more of that hitting the back foot and getting rid of the ball?
I thought the perfect game plan was what they did against Alabama because there was a threat that he could run, but he did stay in the pocket. They took intermediate shots. They didn't take bombs, but it was a deeper passing attack. Certainly in the Ole Miss game, there was portions of that as well. The Florida game was a different game plan than those game plans, but I love the Alabama game plan because there was design things to get the ball out of Jaden's hands quicker. There was some design quarterback runs. There was intermediate throws like I talked about. So you took some chances, but you weren't just throwing it up into double coverage. And so it's in there. Like we've seen aspects of it. Now we can also go back and we can look at some of the tape where it wasn't there. The Auburn game, the Arkansas game, the Tennessee game. Those are times when you'd like for Jaden to be better in the pocket and be better throwing the football with authority. So we've seen it. He played at a high level. Like we're having this conversation, he played at a high level. There's a reason he got the team MVP at the award banquet.
Well, and that's the problem, though, right, is because his style is something that we're not as used to when we think of, like, traditional great quarterback play. I think it dings him where, like I said, like, just because a style like Nuss may feel better, is it actually better? Like Jake said, he got offensive MVP. And it's interesting that, team MVP. And it is interesting that, like, the national media loves Jaden Daniels, where it is only us here locally that are kind of questioning stuff.
Look, we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, talking LSU. We're going to talk quarterbacks. We're going to talk, quarterback battles.
If he had balled down and they had beaten Texas A&M, even though it's not his fault they lost, right? You let A-Chain just bend you over. I wonder if we'd be having this conversation.
If he would have stayed on the path that he was on,
Oh yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it at all.
we'd be begging for him to come back.
Yep, that's true.
Like,
And I think you still should.
yeah,
want
yeah.
that.
I mean,
yes,
well,
but
yeah,
I feel you though.
yeah. The Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, that stretch right there. If you continue that on in Arkansas, regardless of the weather, like the weather's not going to play if it's cold. Okay, a lot of places are cold. If you continue that, like they got the best of you. You come back against UAB, it's UAB, and you have a lot of success. But you're right, T. If you go out there and you dominate that Texas A&M game, and it wasn't really an offensive problem. It was way more, in my opinion, a defensive problem. 21 missed tackles. But the narrative, if you go out there, you dominate, you win 35-14, you threw for 220 yards, you ran for another 100, the conversation doesn't even take place.
Yeah.
With anybody,
Yeah.
I think.
I know. But I'll be interested to see what happens in the rest of this bowl prep and where this all goes. Again, I do believe this bowl game is a must-win. You got a Purdue school that is in between coaches. It's a chance to get to 10 wins. Citrus Bowl's a nice bowl win. Gives you momentum heading into the offseason, momentum heading into next year. I think you must win this game coming up on January 2nd. We will see.